Welcome to episode 148 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. We almost had all my co-hosts here.
But it's not his fault.
It's not his fault. Robert may come late. I don't know. He got caught up business stuff with the customer, but maybe he will make it later. I don't know. I hope so.
I don't know. But if you are looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herbst Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
Yeah. And then also check out our friends over at Wiregrass Exotics in Ozark, Alabama. If you are in South Alabama, North Florida, that area, full service reptile shop, feeders, and all that stuff. Go check out our friends at Wiregrass Exotics and the Herp shows. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. The first Herp show of the year is coming up in 2 weeks in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's too far away for us. We will not be there.
No.
Then January 21st, 22nd is the Longview show. I think Robert will be at that one.
I think so.
And then we will definitely be at the Conroe show January 28th and 29th. That's the big one. Everybody come out to the Conroe show. That's a birthday.
Yep.
Come by, say hi. We will be doing recordings there because I realized we're all out of show recordings. And so we can't take time off until we have more show recordings.
That's important.
So we got to get some more show recordings. Corpus Christi is February 25th and 26th. New Orleans, March 4th and 5th. What?
We won't be at that one.
The New Orleans now.
That's our daughter's birthday, and she actually wants to have this thing called a party this year.
Those are expensive. It's going to be cheaper than last year when we took her to Universal.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
that was like, we're never going to top that birthday. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So we should never do birthdays ever again. Bryan College Station, Texas is March 11th and 12th. Out over to Waco, Texas, March 25th and 26th. And back to Louisiana to Slidell, April 1st and 2nd. April Fool's Day. I'm glad I'm not there. I don't want to be around Sean for April Fool's Day.
Not only that, but I'm glad it's on a Saturday because I don't have to teach on April Fool's Day. It's like my least favorite day of teaching because third graders think they can prank you, but it's always really silly stuff that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's just bad.
Well, I'm all for not being around Herps people on April Fool's Day.
It's probably for the best.
So, but if you can't make it over to the Conroe show and you're farther east, make it to the Slidell show. That's the other big one. That's a really good show. There's a lot of quality animals at the Slidell show. I want to do our last giveaway from December. I know it's January now, but the giveaway was from December. So I want to do our last giveaway from our friends over at Colossal Constrictors. Remember, we were giving away a temp gun every week in December. All you had to do was comment on our post. And the last post was, what was your favorite thing you got for Christmas? That was our last post. I didn't pull up the random number generator.
You got a lot of Lego.
I did get a lot of Lego. Got a lot of Lego. I was almost prepared. I had all the names ready, but I didn't have the random number generator.
Uh-oh.
All right. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Random number generator. That's the noise it makes, in case you were wondering. And the winner is... Make sure I pressed it. There we go. Man, I don't want to give him anything.
Who is it?
Travis.
That's awesome.
So everybody, Travis Wyman, Dr. Travis Wyman. Make sure I say doctor. He went to school for it. He's special. But Dr. Travis Wyman won our last giveaway.
That's awesome. He'll be excited.
But that was thanks to our friends at Colossal Constrictors. If you want high quality boas, check out Colossal Constrictors. They are amazing people. We had them on, I don't know how many episodes ago, but if you missed that one, go back and check it out.
Dude, I don't know how you keep up with who we've had on and who we haven't had on.
They bought us pizza.
I was in here that night.
Oh, as you were sick.
I was miserable.
You missed out on that.
Yes, I was like stomach bugged, violently ill that night.
I definitely remember the guests that buy us pizza. Mm-hmm. That and they.
Now that you say that, I know who
that, and they just did our giveaways for the last month. So, but check out Colossal Constrictors, and we don't have a giveaway for this month, but we'll see what we can come up with. And we'll get back to that. And maybe we'll get our guest on. We'll talk about some of the things that we got. We'll go back to the list of what people got for Christmas because some of them were interesting. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and pull our guest in, even though I know Robert was looking forward to it, but poor Robert.
She's probably on his phone. He might be while he waits.
Maybe. All right, here we go. Our guest is, she's muted. Brittney Gobble from Gobble's Reptiles, but she's muted. It says she's muted and we can't hear her.
Can you unmute her?
No, she has.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. Now we can hear her.
Sorry, I thought you had me muted. I was just shutting myself up already.
So funny.
We had Brittney on at a show. We had her at Arlington. That was like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on that, I will not ever forget the inflatable couch and that moment of panic when I sat down and you flew. That was terrifying.
It was crazy. I think you were our first person we had on too. So none of us really knew how the couch worked.
She was the last one.
You were the last one. Okay.
And I was tired. So I kind of just was like, oh, and then you went.
That's right. I do remember that now.
The inflatable couch. I never sat. There was no way I was sitting on that thing. Yeah. Robert and I don't do inflatable couches.
Yeah, I did not anticipate.
We would have sent somebody over the drape.
Because you do not look. Although I don't look like I'm the size that I am. And
Are you calling Brittney Gobble fat?
No.
Katie.
I was saying she looks smaller than I am.
Stop.
But I was very
That's
surprised
how tired
that I got.
That's how tired I was. I just like, oh.
All right. So I need something in the chat. So Chris Eaton's making fun of my shirt that I'm wearing. I'm wearing the shirt because we just went to the gym.
We did go to the gym, and my legs feel like jello.
And when I get off this podcast, we're going to go for a walk around the neighborhood, or at least I am. So I'm not changing, Chris. That is why. Some of us go outside of our abodes, and some of us have no idea when it snows because we stay inside all day long. Chris.
That'd be me.
So, I've been wanting to have you back on because you are one of the more interesting people in the hobby. And I've told Katie this earlier. Normally when people say like reptile people are interesting, it's not usually a good thing, but like you are interesting in a very good way because you're not just a reptile person. There's so many things. You're an emu wrangler. So, and you went famous for your emu video.
Yeah, bird.
That's
my bird. She's
a lot of bird.
Maybe you should tell
a lot of bird. Everybody's like, I'm like,
go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, everybody, they show up when we occasionally will have a visitor and I'll be like, you want to see my bird? And I don't know what they expect, but it's never a 5 foot tall emu.
If you were to tell me, do you want to see the bird? I automatically would assume it's in a cage on your back porch, like something smaller than a foot tall.
Not a dinosaur.
When she hatched, we didn't honestly think she would hatch. I didn't think this one through. Typically, before I bring home a new pet, I have done an obsessive amount of research, and to the point that I have driven everyone else in the house crazy. And Johnny called me from work and said, hey, do you want an emu egg? And I was like, a hatching one? And he said, yeah. Well, they're notorious for not hatching. They're also like $200. And I said, well, how much? And he said, $25. This girl at work has a friend giving them away. And I was like, yeah, for $25, I want an emu egg. So we didn't even have one of the fancy incubators that roll. We have the styrofoam with the little grate that you pour water yourself in. And we told my 10-year-old, we're like, roll the egg this many times a day. We didn't think it would hatch. So everybody at his office got birds. And they were saying, yeah, right before it hatches, if you tap the egg and whistle, the bird will whistle back if it's alive. And I'm like, yeah, right. So I went and tap it, and my egg's whistling like crazy. And I looked at Johnny, and I was like, so we didn't actually plan for what we were doing with an emu because we didn't think that the emu would actually hatch. It was the only one out of all the eggs. That was the only one that hatched. And she lived in the house for a long time. You know, we'd have people over and there's just like bird runs down the hallway until she's like 4 foot tall. I guess 3 foot tall is when we need
to text Natasha like right now and tell her, do not let
I hope
Douglas Ray White listen to this.
I hope our buddy Douglas Ray White logs on tonight.
My gosh.
He wants an emu.
He's one of the vendors in the herps at the herp show.
But I'm pretty sure he would die if he got an emu.
I love this man more than probably most people on this planet. He's one of my favorite people ever, but he wants an emu and
it's a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea.
It is a bad idea. Like, I'm not going to lie and sit here and be like, that was a great idea. I got lucky. Bird is amazing. Bird thinks she's a goat herder and loves the goats, but and is super sweet. Like, just so sweet with the entire family. But I think that's the exception to the rule.
I was going to ask how she got along with the goats or if you had her separated, because I remembered that you had goats.
No, the only thing she can't stand is that rooster, because the rooster is always sneak attacking me. And I'll scream and start running. And then she gets excited and she's like, we're doing this. And then she'll just like body smack him, and then he goes and puffs up like to make himself look bigger, which she thinks means they're playing. And then she'll just whack him again. So he's the only thing. Everything else, her best friend for the longest time was a rabbit that my daughter had. She gets upset if the goats get separated. She'll go back and forth between them until they find each other again. Like she's a very sweet bird, which, like I said, we're very lucky.
To say that does sound like an exception.
They're such a funny bird when they get excited because they don't have wings. Like when they jump, they just they wobble, and then like their heads all over the place, and then they just take off running like sideways. They're a weird bird.
Yeah, and they'll throw themselves on the ground with their feet straight in the air. That one gets me every time. Like just they don't like settle down on the ground and then roll over. They just like a fainting goat, and they're just like down. It's the weirdest thing.
You didn't you didn't get the fever of like, I've got one emu now, I've got to get more and breed emus.
I don't think Johnny's listening. So apparently they have leucistic ones.
Oh, I've seen those.
There's like the gold. There's actually 2 different colors, and I'm learning the genetics. So yeah, I don't think Johnny heard. Nobody tell him.
Great. So now it's going to be Brittney Gobble's emu farm. Just giant dinosaurs running around.
Oh, I'm Googling this right now. These look wicked cool.
Right?
This one has like polka dots.
Is it like pied maybe? Oh, that's what she needs is a pied
That
emu.
is so cool.
See?
Yeah, it's like a pied emu.
Yeah.
Who knew?
That's what I'm talking about.
Who knew?
Besides, Bird needs friends, right?
Yeah.
I love that her name is Bird.
Well, there was a disagreement that took place, and I wanted to call her Imp, like, a troublemaking imp, because she's not this big, she's huge. Johnny wanted to call her Limu for the commercial emu.
Yes.
And for so long, we refused to call her by the other person's name, and we said the bird. Well, somebody needs to get the bird out and change her. Somebody needs to do the bird's water. And then it got stuck, and now it's Bird.
That's so fabulous.
Well, as Peter Griffin says, bird is the word.
Yeah.
So there we go.
That's I can't imagine. Like, and the problem is like you screwed up and got a nice one. So the next one is gonna be horrible. But you will have spent so much money on like this leucistic emu that you're like, now I just have to love this thing even though it wants to kill me every time I walk outside.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
though.
and I will be like, if I can raise the eggs, just be patient. Raise the eggs, and maybe I'll get a nice baby. Like, I've talked Johnny into that so many times.
Maybe that's because you had it from the egg. Maybe because you were tapping and whistling to it, and it knew it was loved before it ever hatched out of the egg. I don't know. Birds are strange.
I think it probably has to do with the unorthodox raising. I mean, I would walk down the hallway and my kids are watching TV and have her under the blanket with them. Just
100%.
So, I mean, I think that she did not get a normal emu upbringing. I don't think anything in the Gobble house is normal, if I'm perfectly honest.
I mean, not in ours either. It's totally fine.
Well, and technically, Brittney, you can tell them when you want more emus that it's Gobble's reptiles, and birds are technically reptiles. They're feathered reptiles. So it still fits underneath the umbrella.
Exactly. We don't even have to change the logo.
Yeah. Just imagine Brittney with her calendar. See, I have my last year's calendar with all of your pictures. Now I just need a calendar with emu pictures in it. That's what you need to do is
that would be hilarious.
A whole photo shoot of emu, just like each month, just set up a whole new one for Bird.
Oh my gosh.
But the worst photo ever, like her doing the most awkward poses.
Yes.
I was going to tell you too. I heard you talking about the giveaways. I have the blood python calendars. If you're interested, I'd love to do a giveaway.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be a great giveaway.
We will get with you on that one. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
So you're right.
Sorry, no, I'm so hungry.
We made this mistake of like running to the gym and trying to do the gym real quick, and then coming back and we realized we should probably do the gym like Mondays and Wednesdays when we don't have anything, not Tuesdays when we have something.
Well, the thing is we were going, so we decided on Christmas that we were going to start walking. Our daughter got an electric scooter, so she rides around the lake and we walk. which is great. We both have sugar issues. We're getting under control. But then we decided that every other day we were going to go to the gym. Since we pay for memberships, we may as well use the memberships. So this is our 5th consecutive every other day trip to the gym. And I was like, we can't not go because we have the podcast. And he was like, let's go right after school. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, there were 40 million people at the gym today.
It's fine. By February, they won't be
all
there.
those New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, that's why my dad said if you didn't post it on Facebook, it didn't happen.
I don't think I've posted. I think I posted once that we were at the gym. That's all.
At public gyms, there needs to be a new rule. You should not be allowed to be on your phone. Like unless you're like on a treadmill or elliptical where you're there by yourself, you're not like. But if you get up and look around on the machines, it's just like 50% of the machines are somebody sitting on their phone, not using the machine, but just sitting there playing on their phone. I'm like, why are you here?
It drives him up.
I hyped myself up about 2 years ago to join a gym. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I mean, it took like 4 days because I'm not really that big about people. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I pulled in the parking lot. And I was like, there is too many cars here. And I went back home. And I was like, no, Brittney, you were going to do this. So I went the opposite direction, like another 15 minutes to a different gym. And I was like, there's too many people. So I called my husband. He's like, honey, we live in the sticks. There was like 3 cars there. I'm like, there's too many people.
That's what I was like, man, like how many people could there be? Because I know you don't live near a lot of stuff.
That's funny.
No, I think one of them had maybe 6 cars and that counted employees. And the building is actually a whole shopping center, but that still felt like a lot. So,
but you go to reptile shows and that's full of people.
Yeah. I like reptiles.
That's different though. You're at a reptile show. That's not you working out. Or like wondering if other people are like judging you because of what you wear. That's why I ask you.
I judge everyone at a reptile show based off what they wear.
Every time we go to the gym before we leave the house, I ask you if what I'm wearing is acceptable to go out in public.
That's because some of the people wear things that, it's questionable at a gym. It's questionable at a reptile show. You've worked the front. Katie will like text me sometimes from the front. We have a group
text message and I'll send people like,
hey, look for this person
and I'll like describe their outfit in the text message for them. Oh yeah, I'm bad about that.
So we'll get to the reptile stuff in a second, but I do want to jump over to the whole like writing novels thing. I think that's I don't have the patience to read, so I definitely don't have the patience to write a book. But
I read 12 books over Christmas break. It was glorious.
God, that's too many books. But how many books are you up to now, Brittney?
I think we're cutting a little bit on my end. Can you guys still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, okay.
I've written. Oh, my back. Sorry, these storms they're gone, but there's like cloud cover that keeps coming through for a little bit. Yeah, I think you asked me how many books I've written. Is that right? Or I've written 13. I've written 13, published 13, and I have 2 more almost finished. So
that's so cool.
Keeps me busy.
I haven't read any of your stuff though.
You need to.
I do need to.
And then tell me what it's about because I'm not going to read because I don't read anything. I have an entire bookshelf full of books that
but her books aren't going to be
I know
what's on your shelf.
But see, you can read it and you can tell me. And then when they make it a movie, I'll watch it.
No.
As soon as it comes.
That's what my husband says. He's like, I'm waiting for the movie. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. And he's like, well, then I'll never know what your books are about. Like,
it's hilarious.
So what is the premise behind your books? Are they all a series or do you have several different ones?
Several different series because I have a short attention span and I have to hop between projects to stay engaged. I mean, the whole reason I started writing was because my doctor was like, I think that you're, what do you say? It's like chronically exhausted. I forget the word. There's some term for it, but basically I'd exhausted myself to the point that I medically needed to stop. And he goes, go to bed and just kind of rest and don't do anything. And I did that for like a week and a half. And I was bored out of my mind. And so I was like, I got to find something to do. So I started researching how to write a book and kind of just went from there. But I have, I think 6 series now, something like that. And I kind of alternate. They're all paranormal. So there's some kind of magic element or werewolf or vampire. And
I've played.
I played around with different, like more serious, and less serious. And I really think I found my niche with the romantic comedy. I like chaos. I like blowing things up, and I like making people laugh at inappropriate times. So that seems to be my thing.
Did you find her books?
Yeah.
You Googled them. I saw you over there Googling her books.
I did, because I couldn't. It's a very cool pen name that you go by, but I couldn't remember it off the top of my head, so I had to Google it.
What did you just Google like Brittney Gobble books and then?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And like the fourth link down gives you her pen name.
Wow, that cover didn't last long.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Oh.
No, actually, I think that's the reptile community's fault. I'm gonna be.
But there's not
perfectly
any
honest with you
pictures.
guys, so.
Like there's no pictures of you associated with your book. So I think your cover's still good there.
Okay, do you know how many people are named Brittney Gobble? It's a lot fewer than you might think.
This is
So
it can't be a common name.
Yeah,
it's not a common name, so I don't think that's going to be a strong cover. But no, when I first decided to do the books, I was like, well, I've got to use an alias. I'm not going to tell people I write romance. Plus, if I suck, I'm not going to claim them. And so I published the first book, and then on my Facebook, I hid all of my family. Like I made it to where it was only like the reptile people, because you all are cooler about a lot more things than my family probably would be. So I hid all the people that kind of might judge me harshly. And the reptile community came out in force to support me by making their own post and tagging my personal account, which made it show up on my wall. And within 24 hours, everybody knew that I was writing books. I was like, that was sweet and awful.
But it's gone well. I've heard several people say how they like your books. And if I read, I'm sure I would read them. But as soon as it becomes like a sci-fi or Lifetime movie, I'm sure it'll be great. That's what they need. That's how I would get into Lifetime. They need a sci-fi Lifetime channel, where it's just all science fiction Lifetime movies. You still staring at the screen, Katie?
Well, I am, because they're on Kindle Unlimited, which is what I currently have. So this may be the next series.
Kindle Unlimited.
This may be. Well, I just got it a couple weeks ago. That's how I read so much over Christmas break.
Oh, it's the best. I absolutely
really
love
was.
it. So I have a series called Dinosaurs and Disasters. Well, and Albert Einstein, because there's like a little pig that kind of terrorizes the whole thing. And it was a weird concept. Dinosaurs are not a thing unless you're in sci-fi. And I was like, I don't really care. I want to write this chaotic book where these dinosaurs can shift between human, like a werewolf, except they shift into dinosaurs, and she has to convince people that when they freak out and shift, that they're not real. They're like animatronics for like a Jurassic Park movie kind of thing, right? So it's a bunch of covering up these accidents and mistakes that happen. And I was telling Johnny about it, and he's like, that sounds insane. And I'm like, it is, but it'll be good. And it's actually, it did really well. And it got picked up by Podium. I don't know if you know Podium, but they're really big, one of the biggest audiobook producers. And they did, was it The Martian and The Divergence?
Oh,
and
wow.
they did the books first into audiobooks, then they became TV, they got movie deals and things. So they are going to be publishing mine, I think in like March or something. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
that'd be cool.
Tell me.
I followed her on my Amazon account. So now I'll get alerts for all kinds of stuff.
Okay. So let's ease into some of the reptile stuff. I do want to talk about, I want to go over our post that we posted. Like last week, we didn't have an actual show. We did the release of stuff, and we talked about people's Christmas gifts. So I want to go over some of the people's Christmas gifts, so they're listening, and then we can ask Brittney what she got for Christmas. I'm trying to find. Ashley Howdy said a half day off. Yeah, the Howdies at Focus Cube. I don't know. They're fishing a lot, so I see them fishing a lot.
But that was part of a challenge. They fished every single day last year.
Yeah. So when she says she got a half day off, I'm like, you fished every day. Just saying. Drew Schultz got an indigo snake, so that's kind of cool. His wife gave him an Eastern indigo.
I'm more impressed with the fact that she traveled like 10 hours round trip to get it and hid it for like a week before he got it.
Yeah.
That's what impressed
Wow.
me. I'm like, how?
Is she into reptiles?
Oh yeah, they have a small zoo here north of Houston.
Okay. I was wondering if like she was cool with reptiles or not, or if that was like terrifying.
No, I'm like, how did he not know, number one, that she was gone for 10 hours and what she was doing? Because it's just the two of them. And like, how did she hide that from him?
Talent.
I mean, she's awesome at what she does. So yeah.
So are you gonna get me?
Johnny knows better than to leave me
Probably not.
unsupervised for 10 hours.
You end up with a leucistic emu.
He walked in the room the other day and I was grinning and I was like, honey, wait till you hear this idea. He goes, no more ideas, no more businesses. You're done. And I was like, okay, fine. I see how it is.
Oh, how are the truffle dogs doing?
We just have the boy now. We let the girl go to a local breeder because with my health and everything going on, I didn't feel like I could work with the puppies as much as I wanted to. And so I have my boy and he still hunts. He still speaks Bulgarian or
so
responds better to Bulgarian.
That's still funny. On our list, John Feely said he got an ultrasound. That'd be cool.
Wow, that's a
like
good
the
one.
machine, like an ultra machine.
No, he went and got one.
I mean, I'm just saying.
He was like, hey, I'm going to go check out what's in my stomach.
Well, maybe he just had one animal that he needed to have an ultrasound done for. I don't know.
you got a
That's
whole-
why I'm asking.
No, we got an ultrasound machine.
Like, I guess.
John Feely is pregnant. That's what he's saying. Is he went?
Like, how many
That was
animals?
a secret. We weren't supposed to tell
shit.
people.
How many people? Like, how many animals do you have to be able to? Like logically be able to say, I'm going to get an ultrasound machine.
It's not so much always the number, but it could be the quality. He's trying to make sure certain things are ready. And he's also a ball python people, as Brittney is. Ball python people are weird.
So maybe it's I have a certain quality of snake that I need.
But he has a lot of snakes. But
He does have a lot of higher end stuff too.
Do you have an ultrasound
Yeah.
machine? You have one, don't you? I would imagine you.
Of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to. When Johnny retired, we used to use his office one when he was
Yeah.
a vet.
That's what I was
when he
figuring.
retired.
With Johnny, I figured you had to have one.
Yeah, for him, it's more like, I don't know how much we have to because we kind of, based on our animals, know a pretty good, okay, this one needs to go. And based on when they bred before and how they're acting. But I think part of it is it's a fun toy, which is why everybody wants them because it's
I get that.
he wants to do it every month and he waits on pins and needles to do them because he wants to see how much closer it is. And I'm like, it's going to be the same as last year, like close. But for him, that's exciting. Yeah.
That's why I bought the Doppler thing when I was pregnant. And I would just like lay on the couch and listen to her heartbeat because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I guess I could see that.
Have you used it on a goat yet?
We tried, but Johnny's not very good at ultrasounding goats.
I imagine you've got it there and you've got other animals. You're like, let's see what else we can ultrasound.
Yeah, I'd probably be
Yeah, the
trying it on
hognose were
everything.
not impressed.
The
that was my
ultrasounds-
idea.
I'll say they're so small. I can't just imagine it's so small underneath an ultrasound wand.
Yeah, and they were wiggly, and then one was like, "Oh, that's fine as long as I can eat you." Wow, because they're not always the brightest. So he's holding it, and she just starts to like, let me just see if I can fit your finger in my mouth.
Yeah.
It was entertaining though. I was just curious. I don't ultrasound all of them. I was just interested to see because I knew the girl was like very close to laying, and I was curious how big, are their eggs from the growth because there's not a lot of information about ultrasounding hog nose or anything like that. So
That's
it was just
true.
a curiosity thing.
It's good information. Like, I mean, you think about with people, you can basically compare the size of your baby to everything imaginable throughout the
There's
duration
so
of the
many fruits and
pregnancy.
vegetables that baby humans get compared to while you're pregnant.
But you don't really know anything about snakes through the duration of their pregnancy.
I would like to do some of my boas, but like my boas don't like me, and so I don't want to stress them out while they're pregnant. Because unlike egg layers, like the egg layers, they're gonna lay the eggs, and then I'm gonna incubate them for 2 months and whatever. But like the boas, I'm like, if I stress them out, I could lose the babies then.
That's true.
Yeah. We've done 2 of our boas. And I talked Johnny into the boas, and then I am happy to let him handle the boas. So he'll be like, let's ultrasound them. And I'm like, great, today I have the probe and you have the snake. Because normally I hold and he probes. But yeah, I'm not going to hold.
I can't get
not the one. Not the one that he wants to ultrasound. There are ones I'm fine with, but the one he kept wanting, I'm like, no, man, you can't even get next to the display without her trying to eat you. Like, I don't want to hold her.
That's
I'm
the
good.
problem.
Whenever those babies are there, I will be happy to see them. Like, I don't need an exact date.
It'd be like, it's like Christmas. You just wait until one day you walk in and there's a big pile of babies.
Exactly. I'm good with that, especially if she's trying to eat my face.
Let's see. So John Feely got the ultrasound. Going through some of the other ones. Oh, Brad Cat. I keep wanting to say Callahan, but it's like the opposite. It's Cahalan. Anyways, got a female Hog Island boa. I love Hog Island boas. I don't have one currently, but I do want to get another one again.
I remember. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
You remember when we had a hog?
Like today was our first day back from Christmas break, and so I'm on like a 10-second delay with my brain after dealing with third graders all day. It was a really great day, but I'm still like done mentally. So, anyways, I apologize.
Speaking of third graders, Caleb Howe got a VR headset.
Stop it!
What? Caleb's a small child with a weird mustache, but Caleb got a VR headset.
I don't know if I've ever been on a podcast where somebody hasn't made a joke about Caleb.
I just really worry what he's going to use the headset for.
No, sir.
So
no, sir.
His mom may want to make sure she knocks on his door before she enters. I'm just trying to say. Our buddy Darren Watson got an 8-piece power tool set. Power tools are always fun. You can always find something you need to fix. And then Carl England said he got money to buy a new enclosure from Robert, who is not here. So hopefully he buys a new enclosure from Robert. But that was several of those. Now let's go to the ones we asked this week, because the ones we asked this week that came from Brittney were very interesting.
Well, what did you talk about? What you got for Christmas?
But I forgot. No, I was getting excited about the ones that she had.
I'm excited about the stuff I got for Christmas.
Okay, calm down. We didn't ask Brittney what she got for Christmas.
Okay, we can do that too.
It wasn't a leucistic. I know she didn't get a leucistic emu.
No, I didn't.
So I got a lot of Lego. I got a Lego that came out with The Office. For anybody out there that loves The Office, it's the whole it's amazing. Like putting it together was like reliving the entire show. I loved all of it.
You're welcome.
Yep, thank you. What were you excited about getting?
You did good.
I know. I got a bracelet from a company that allows you to track certain endangered animals.
That's right.
Our daughter got an elephant that she can track, and it came with a really cool postcard. So it's funny though, because I bought her one, and then his mom got her the exact same bracelet.
But two different elephants.
But it's two different elephants, which was cool. So that part was fun. Mine is a sea turtle.
Yeah, your sea turtle. I forget where it traveled, but it traveled like way up the coast in South America, or through like South America and up to Central America.
Yeah, and you can watch, like, it gives you information on like when she was tagged and approximately how many eggs that she's laid that they're aware of, and all of that really cool stuff. So that was really neat. Our zoo in Houston sells the bracelets, and so I went online to do some research on the company before we bought them. But it's Phalo, Fahlo, and they have lions on there, polar bears, penguins, sea turtles, and the elephant.
I feel like the penguin's boring. Like, where's it gonna go? It lives there.
It's all pretty cool. And then they also, like, each organization, like each animal has its own organization. So a big chunk of it.
My dad,
I'm sure that
my dad's upset you didn't give him any credit, but he didn't even know you got that bracelet.
He did not. So
he may have mailed it, but he had no idea what was in the package.
And so each company gets a certain percentage of the funds, and
yeah,
they have extra stuff that you can buy. It's really cool.
The turtle one's neat because it plots, like, you can see over the last year the path that thing has taken.
Yeah.
And several steps along the way. So that
was pretty neat. And then you got me the bag that I wanted from the Houston Zoo.
Oh yeah.
It's a bag. I actually have it right here. It says this bag saved a sea turtle. And it's just a canvas bag, but it's made out of 100% recycled content. And then they have them that have like this bag saved a river otter or a pink pelican or things like that. But I liked the sea turtle one, so I was pretty pumped. So those are my two animal related gifts I got.
Darren asked if I have a shelf to display my Lego. They're pretty much displayed across the entire house. I have too many, and they're all large things.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure we have Lego in every room of the house, just like the reptiles.
yes, at this point, yes. There is Lego and Reptile in every room.
There's a Lego set over there underneath the TV. So there's literally Lego everywhere.
I thought that was part of like the Reptile Keeper starter pack. You had to have a reptile in every room. Like, is that like it's bingo? Like that's the only way you win.
It becomes like, I need to quarantine this here. And then you get something new. And I'm like, I need to quarantine this here.
Because we didn't want to have to restart quarantines. And
then you just end up with animals in every room.
Yeah. So what did you get for Christmas, Brittney?
Okay, I'm going to be really boring here. We don't really do much on Christmas because we kind of just will buy things for each other all year round. But my birthday was a couple weeks ago and I got to be in Puerto Rico. So that was nice.
Well, that's fun.
Now I'm kind of jealous because a couple of weeks ago we were frozen down here.
We don't do much for Valentine's Day for that reason because I'm spoiled all year long. So
yeah, you are. Don't forget it.
You're not getting anything for Valentine's this year either. I can already tell.
No, we never do.
Go track your turtle.
Our daughter has a boy at school that she likes, and
nope, we're ignoring that. That doesn't exist.
And I'm afraid we're gonna have to do Valentine's stuff this year.
Doesn't exist. Moving on.
Oh,
anyways, so I want to go to Brittney's questions here because the first question was, if you could have one reptilian ability, what would it be and why?
I have thought hard on this one, and
it's been a hard one for me to come up with.
I don't know.
Brittney, what would be your answer? Before we get into these, what is your answer? What would you want?
Okay, it was a tough choice. I mean, it was tough because there is a part of me that would like to be able to completely dislocate my jaw and just eat an entire hamburger that way. But I want the sticky pads. Like I want the little gecko feet because I would like anytime you're in a social situation you don't want to be, you can just be like, bye, and just
straight up a wall.
Yeah, it would be a conversation killer every time. Guarantee it.
That's fabulous.
Imagine how good you'd be at climbing.
See, I'm afraid of heights though. So that's why the sticky hands, I'm like, I don't know that, like, I don't need anything that's going to let me get high up off the ground.
As long as they work better than the way I've seen like crested geckos. Crested geckos will just fall off shit sometimes.
They do.
So, I mean, as long as I don't have the crested gecko sticky feet and I have better sticky feet than them, I'm good. But those guys are clumsy and they just fall off stuff. That's not a bad one.
As a kid, my mom had a certain kind of paint on her walls, probably the kind with lead that kills you. I had no idea, but you could stick to it really well. And so I would scale between the walls like a normal kid. And then I'd push myself against the ceiling like a spider and go down the hallway because it was narrow enough. And then I would wait for my siblings to come down the hallway and I would drop from like 7 foot on top of them. And I thought it was hilarious.
Oh,
for the record, my parents did not. And my siblings started sneaking around corners, like freaking out because they didn't know if I was just going to drop from the ceiling. But I'd be completely spread out like flat, like some,
You're like a ninja.
Like weird Iron Man stuff. Some.
That is fabulous.
Oh.
It was great.
I'm just picturing.
I could just like,
I'm just picturing
in my head,
I'm picturing Brittney trying to do it now.
Oh God.
And it'll be hilarious.
I did it a couple years ago at a family reunion.
Oh my!
But my siblings are like 6'4" now, so they tend to notice things. That
they pay attention higher up a lot better.
The fall doesn't hurt as much though. They break the fall much sooner.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, you can just kind of grab their back like a spider monkey and hang on for dear life.
That's so funny.
Our buddy Amanda Reddy, she said a prehensile tail, without a doubt. It's a built-in lifeline. Need to reach something high up. It's okay. You won't fall to your death if you're holding on with your tail. That is true. That is true. Rebecca, our friend that bought her husband the indigo snake, said a tortoise shell. Just when you're tired of people and they're never ending BS, need a nap, want to be home in less than 0.5 seconds, just go into your shell.
There you go.
Can you change my answer?
I know. I was like, this goes right along with.
I'm tired of everybody. I'm going in my shell.
Deuces.
Sean Gray also said sticky toes like geckos. I think sticky toes is probably where I'd end up 'Cause I'd really want to be able to fly, but
I think
all flying reptiles just fall slowly. So
I think it would be cool to be able to have it's not night vision, but like the heat sensor vision.
yeah, to see, yeah,
That might be kind of cool.
like a rattlesnake. The heat
Yeah.
gets on a rattlesnake. But what would you use it for?
I don't know. It just seems cool.
Everything you'd look around, it would be like watching Predator.
That is one of my favorite movies.
If you had a chameleon tongue, you could just take things off people's plates in restaurants.
Until someone's really fast and catches it mid reach. Just
Like,
like,
a waiter
Most
goes
of your
by.
responses have to deal with how you can get food. That's what
Okay,
I think
see, these are my people.
Brittany's like, I need a long, sticky tongue, but I need to be able to dislocate my jaw. So if I see an entire cheesecake across the room, I can grab that cheesecake and then eat it in one bite.
And the sticky toes. I can go across the restaurant silly and just grab
There you
stuff.
go.
And then when
grab
someone
from
yells at me for
people.
stealing it, I can run away with my sticky toes.
Oh my god.
Or
Exactly,
crawl into my
exactly.
shell and just ignore them.
Oh gosh.
See, we were totally like we're missing out. We're missing
They
out.
are. Oh, that's funny.
Reptiles, it's wasted on them. Our friend April Linkfield said, I want to be able to spit venom into the eyes of my enemies.
Damn. How many enemies does she have?
I
That's
don't,
like a long list if you need to be taking.
don't know,
people
but
out.
just imagine someone shoots
love-
venom at you.
I love that like we might have all thought it, but she was brave enough to say it.
Oh gosh.
Liliana, she said, she wants a cape like a peacock spider, not a reptile, but those peacock spiders, but they have that fan that comes out behind them.
Oh yeah.
Those are weird little spiders. That'd be a cool one.
What would you need? Like,
You would never lose a dance off.
That's true. You could show your fancy behind to everybody. Alexander England said he wants fake death, so everyone fucks off.
It's like
So-
a hog nose.
It's like, oh, just roll over and smell dead, and people will leave you alone.
oh my god.
So if you can't run away with your sticky toes, and if your shell's not working, just play dead.
Play dead.
I like it. We got a plan now.
Rebecca also put, or maybe she'd like to see ultraviolet light. That would make her as an art teacher much happier if she could see ultraviolet light.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a real good one.
I like Max Hicks. Regrowth of limbs and teeth. He'd save an arm and a leg from the dentist. So
No,
regrowing stuff.
that's a bad one. I could see like hold my beer, watch this, and like so you're just like no. That is not a good idea.
But imagine in a bar how much money you'd make if you'd be like, if you just dare people, I can chop my arm off, and they're like, oh no, you won't, and then just chop your arm off.
Oh my gosh.
Antoine Hood said,
or you could do lawsuits. It's like
Yeah.
he cut my hand. I lost a finger, and then it grows back.
and they pay you real quick so you don't sue them. Like, okay, and then take it, and then you
Right.
leave and grow your finger back. Yeah, that'll work great.
Mhm.
That's a great plan. Why don't you ever see an X-Men, the guy who can regrow stuff? He's just going around screwing people out of money for fake lawsuits. That's the X-Men. I want to see the guys that don't use their powers for good. They're just sleazy guys who are going out trying to do
That'd
stuff.
be realistic.
Yeah,
that would be more believable.
that's what they would really use them for. Our friend Antoine Hood said 2... which I saw two.
How many people said that?
Several people said hemipenes, and I'm just saying right now, what the fuck are you gonna do with two hemipenes? I've seen snakes have sex. They can't fuck two snakes at the same time. It's two of them don't do you any good. You're still just using one while the other flops around over here and does nothing.
You have given this a lot of thought.
I'm not gonna waste my power on just having an extra penis
Should
flop
I be
around.
concerned that you've put so much thought into this?
Yes.
Well, everybody here was mentioning it. I'm just telling you the drawbacks of having two penises. Doesn't make sense.
Oh goodness.
I'm not going to butcher this person's name, but it said definitely growing back limbs. They want to grow back limbs. Aaron King said to be 350 foot tall and have atomic breath. So
Are we Godzilla?
Yep.
Okay.
They're going with Godzilla. That works. I like this one. Chris Hubley said, I want the Nerodia superpower of musking people who bother me.
Is that kind of like equivalent to crop dusting them when you fart when you
No, it's
walk
way
by?
worse because this sticks to them. They're going to smell like it the rest of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, but you would too. Like-
Yeah. Yeah. Water snakes don't smell good. They always smell bad.
Oh, gotcha.
Darren Watson said you got to put them in two holes close together.
No.
Good luck with that, Darren. Good luck with that. Joshua Stover said dual dongs. So there it is. Bryant McDowell said vision of an Asian vine snake. Okay. I did not know that they
apparently have
really good vision. The old
Or
Asian
really
vine snake.
sucky vision. No, just kidding.
Darren Watson says he wants to eat once or twice a month. Sometimes we spend a lot of time and money eating. Food spending would be cut by 80% or more.
That is factual,
Yeah,
right there.
but I like
enjoy
eating.
food.
And that would cut into Brittney's magic powers of being able to grab food and eat it whole.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with sticky toes. I think the ability to shoot up a wall. Imagine if you're out herping though, it'd be really handy. You could run right up a tree, no problem, to catch stuff, or right up the side of a building, cliff face. Just come in handy.
Like, yeah, like think if they're like you don't even need gear when you go rock climbing anymore. Just go for it.
But if I get the sticky toes, then I guess I would settle for the wings from that flying lizard. So that you climb a cliff and then you can just glide back down.
That would be kind of cool.
I would like to do that. I would like the squirrel suit people.
Yeah,
that's like the best thing.
But it's built in. Although technically
nice.
Pterodactyls were not dinosaurs; they were reptiles, and they could fly. So I wouldn't mind being able to fly.
Yeah,
although
I'd like to fly.
That's why, like, as much as I don't like birds, no offense to your giant bird, I like the ability to fly. That's the superpower I want, is the ability to fly.
Giant birds, though, it's the little ones that
she's not offended because she would like the ability to fly.
She would like the ability to fly. Could you imagine if emus or ostriches could fly? Or cassowaries? Jesus Christ, we'd all be screwed if cassowaries could fly.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
They are so mean. I listened to this podcast about how mean cassowary are, and they talked about their attacks, and they're like jerks. They wait for 100%. The worst possible moment. Like this, like there was one around these people, and it waited until the person like went to use the bathroom, and when they walked away, they looked at some stuff, checked their phone, then decided to squat to use the bathroom, and that's when it decided to attack them. Like it waited till they were at their most vulnerable.
I believe
it.
The one we had at the zoo was horrible.
No, that's. And I've said it before. That's definitely the most scared I ever was inside of an enclosure with an animal. Like, and I'd been in with crocodiles. They did not scare me nearly as much as being inside with the cassowary.
Nope.
Yeah.
So I will pass on that one. But
they're a nope. They're a definite nope.
Yeah.
The next question was fun. It was, what or who is your favorite television or movie reptile?
I have so many. It's so hard to narrow it down to one.
I have a lot. Brittney, what is your top three?
Oh, I don't even know. Godzilla's my top, obviously. I mean, like, it's the king. I don't know. My second would be, I'd like to be able to hypnotize people and tell them to trust me. So it would be, what is his name?
Ka.
God, that's it. Yeah. Those would be my top two.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Max Hicks said the boom slang from Bullet Train, but I haven't seen Bullet Train. So I don't know. I have missed that one. Amanda Reddy, who breeds chameleons, said Pascal from Tangled.
Well, of course.
Which is our friend Megan said Sir Hiss
from cartoon Robin Hood.
Cartoon Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. Drew Scholes said Rexy from the Jurassic Park franchises, the T-Rex.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That is a good one.
I'm a blue fan.
I do. Yes.
Blue's cool. Rebecca said the yellow spotted lizards from Holes. Oh,
I don't think I know those.
Oh, they're bearded dragons. They painted dots on their backs, and then they use CGI. So they open their mouth, they have fangs, and in the movie, they're venomous, and they'll kill you if they bite you.
That's hilarious.
But
our daughter was funny the first time she watched the movie because we didn't tell her ahead of time what was coming, and she read the book, and then she watched the movie, and she was like, she paused it, she was like, "That's a bearded dragon. What's wrong with it?" And I'm like, okay, so there's CGI involved. But it was funny. She was just like, no, this is not correct.
That's hilarious.
Nathan Holcomb said Squirt from Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
The little turtle.
That's a good one too.
Oh, that's a really good one.
He's a fun one. And his dad, everybody forgets, like, his dad is so chill and laid back.
Crush.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crush, yeah.
I had a blue and gold macaw I named Crush after the turtle.
That's so fabulous.
Ryan Goslow said if it counts, Godzilla, but if not, the Mosasaurus from Prehistoric Planet. That'd be cool.
That's a good series.
Todd Sanders said Nagini from Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a completely different character after you watch the...
When you watch all the prequel movies.
Yeah, where Nagini's a person. Aaron King posted a meme of Godzilla. Brad, I'm not going to mess up his last name again, but also said Sir Hiss from Robin Hood. My dad said someone has to say Damien from WWF. That was Jake the Snake's snake. One. That was the name for the 5 million different snakes he had.
That's not a cartoon, though, is it?
TV, though.
Oh, you said
It's
or
TV.
TV or movie. That's right.
Those snakes were taken care of horribly. You go back and you watch some of that stuff. He threw those things around. And then there's one where he had a king cobra that bit Macho Man. It was a big venomoid king cobra, and it just like laid into chewing on Macho Man's bicep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, animals were not. The animals did not have.
What, the 70s?
No, that's from like early 90s, late 80s.
Oh, is it? I didn't watch wrestling until we started dating.
No one said mine, and there's a certain age you have to be to enjoy this one, but no one said Reptar.
I knew that was what you were gonna pick. I knew you were gonna say Reptar.
No one, for anybody that watched Rugrats growing up, you have to be about my age, somewhere in like late 30s. But Reptar, freaking love that. Their
Don't
version
forget about Trogdor.
Trogdor the Burninator. I don't know how many people remember that from like E-Bomb's world on the internet.
So I would have to go with Louis from Princess and the Frog.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because he's
That big alligator. Yeah.
Shy of the lightning bug. He's probably my favorite character in the whole movie. And then I really like Lao Lao from Lao Lao Crocodile.
I haven't
Where
seen the movie yet.
I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie yet, but it's based off of a kid's book, and that one's really good too. But they're both musically inclined.
So
You like your reptiles to make noise.
I do. I want fun noise too.
I like, and this one's not a reptile, but it's a reptile movie. Like, so I the crocodiles from Lake Placid are cool, but I prefer Betty White from Lake Placid, who's feeding the baby crocodiles and like rooting for the. That's what
I'm rooting for the crocodiles.
I know she's not a reptile, but she's in a reptile movie, so I'm going with Betty
We
White.
should watch that movie again. It's a fabulous film.
They made sequels, and there's no reason to watch the sequels.
Oh,
I've watched them. They're entertaining. I mean, like, what can you say? They're like it's so
like
bad.
Snakes on
it's
a
hilarious.
Plane. Like you just watch it to see all the bad stuff.
Snakes on a Plane is such a horrible movie.
Yeah.
No one mentioned reptiles from Snakes on a Plane,
But it's funny.
but I was very sad. No one mentioned Reptar.
Yeah, most of my stuff is probably animated, cartoon related.
I'm trying to think other reptiles.
I can't think of the name of it. It's a Netflix movie that came out, I think, last year about a little koala, and it had the venomous animals in it. And
There's the little snake.
she's adorable, and I loved her. And I
Our
can't think of
daughter
her
watched
name.
it. I'm gonna give.
I haven't watched that one yet. I did want to watch that one because the snake was one of the main characters in that one.
Yeah, and I really liked how they actually, in a weird way, kind of taught that you don't have to be terrified. Like, there's safety, but you don't have to be terrified of them because they're different.
So the one
And
you're
they
talking
are-
about is Back to the Outback.
Yes, that's it.
That's because it's got a whole bunch of different ones in it.
That must be a sequel then, or is it the same?
I think it may be.
A sequel to the original one with the little snake.
Mhm. I think the Outback was the one with the snake.
Yeah,
I
so
haven't seen the Outback. I've seen the back to it because they decided to try to go back where they thought they'd be accepted better. So they went to the Outback.
I always love movies where the reptile is not the bad guy.
You know what? Another one that not a lot of people said, but we're also older.
No, I
Is
don't.
it Johanna
Oh,
from the
from
Rescuers Down Under. The lizard.
The goanna.
The goanna from Rescuers
With
Down
Joanna
Under.
the goanna from Rescuers Down
Mhm.
Under.
She was a sassy thing.
Yeah, but she was a bad guy in that. Well,
Yeah,
she
and
was
then-
mistreated.
Well, I mean, that movie that just came out, Bad Guys, there's a snake in that one.
I have not seen that one, but I do want to see bad guys.
In the
That's
cart-
funny.
In the
That was pretty
cartoon
funny.
clip, they're like, we're supposed to rescue the guinea pigs.
No one-
And he's like, no one told me that. And there's like lumps all the way down his belly. It's pretty funny.
It's the best scene in the whole movie.
That's like, I haven't watched the movie. My kids in my class read the books, and so they were all telling me about the movie. But that one was in the preview, and it made me laugh every time I saw it.
No one said the chameleon from Sing.
Oh, she is funny. She heard her missing eyeball.
And I like Snake off of Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a good one.
She's good too.
That's a good one. Okay. So we'll get to like actual reptile talk now. So I'm sure all the people that wanted to hear reptile talk are gone. So how is your collection going? Have you downsized? Or are you still getting bigger, or where's your collection at right now as far as snake wise?
So I'm in a weird place because when I started, I bought a lot of recessive genes, which means you have to make hets and they have to grow up. So this year is the year I'm finally being able to pair up my double and triple hets. If I hit a visual, I'll be able to start letting go of things and getting my collection, where more how I wanted it. So right now I'm kind of keeping some of the parents because, of course, you want to have babies. You don't want to like get rid of all the adults and you have to sit around waiting for everything to grow back up again. And I tried this. Somebody's like, "Oh, do a video of your collection." I guess it's about a year and a half ago. And I tried, and they all look like normals. Not all, but a lot of them did because they were holdbacks. They were all het. I'm like, the bins are more impressive than the snakes at this point. But so this will be kind of exciting, now that we're starting to be able to pair those and then retire out some of the females that, are like the single gene or, aren't het for anything. So I'm wanting to downsize a little bit, I guess is where I'm going with that, but I can't quite yet. I don't have a huge collection as it is. I think total with my boas, my bloods, my hognose, and my balls, I only have about 150 snakes, give or take a little bit.
Do you anticipate being able to get a lot of those visuals that you want this year? Now that you've kind of...
I am not anticipating it because I don't want to be disappointed.
That makes sense. I totally get that.
So, I know like it's definitely possible. I'm kind of just more hoping that I at least hit a visual something. So like, hey, if it's visual for this, that's great. Hopefully it's het for one of the other things. So for instance, I have Hypo Clown Monsoon triple hets that I'm breeding. So if I hit a visual monsoon, I can test it to see if it carries clown now, thanks to DNA testing. So that's been a little bit nice because I'm like, okay, I don't have to keep everything. I can, check some things out. But eventually I do want to downsize certain projects a little bit and so I can focus more on the others when there's only so much space,
I was going to jump to something in the chat. We're going to come back to that, but our buddy Jason Miller-Radovich said his son Drake is listening in. He says his favorites are the gliding reptiles that the aquatic people ride in the new Avatar. They can glide and have a head like an alligator gar.
That was cool.
But I think they're a fish. I don't think they're a reptile. They look very fishish.
Are they fish?
They got fins on the back. They don't have legs.
I thought they were dragon, like a dragon-esque type creature.
Now, the ones that fly with
Those
the
of us
sky
like-
people are very dragon type. And I'm
But
surprised nobody mentioned Toothless from How to Train Your
I didn't even
Dragon.
think about Toothless.
Because he's a great one.
Love
He's me some How to Train Your
favorite.
Dragon.
He is my very favorite.
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
Our daughter went through a phase where she was obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon, would watch every cartoon imaginable. And there's an entire book series. There's like 15 books in a book series about How to Train Your Dragon. So highly recommending for anybody with kids out there.
Do trimmers count as reptile? What are they?
Or sandworms.
Sandworms are worms, though. But trimmers, like if you watch the horrible sequels, at one point they turn into these things with legs that walk around and can fly and they fart out flames. And they look very reptile-ish.
I apparently missed that sequel.
I think it was number 2. Maybe it was number 3. I don't know. They've made like 8 trimmers movies.
So you'll watch those, but you won't watch the Lake Placid sequels?
I love Trimmers. Trimmers is one of the best movies ever, and I don't care what anybody says. I will die on that hill. Trimmers is a great movie. But,
oh man, that's hilarious.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Anyways, so back to the actual reptile talk. So you're getting to finally breed some of the stuff that you produced, which has to be tons of excitement there because I've finally gotten to where I'm hoping to produce babies from a male that I produced, and I can't wait to see what happens.
It's cutting.
Oh,
Can you hear
oh no.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
It's so weird. Like I'm hearing like every other word that you say.
Man, that's horrible. We can hear you very well on this side. Oh no.
Okay, now I can hear you again.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
And for
All
those
right.
of you who are unaware, Tennessee is having some rough weather this evening. So that's what we're battling with.
I messaged and I was like, so we haven't had power and I may not have light tonight. So maybe the black when we do the interview, if I can even get a signal. But
He told me
we're
earlier, he was
okay
like, so we
now.
might be in a lurch. And I was like, what happened? He's like, there's bad weather. And I was like, oh, I totally forgot about all those storms moving through.
Well, my parents are in North Alabama and they were having all that stuff come through too. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now that you can hear us, are you excited? How excited are you about finally getting to produce some of the things from animals you produced?
That is super exciting. Like that's been like last year, it was like Johnny's like, you're not as excited as you were before. And I'm like, well, we're kind of in that lull between, exciting projects because you're making pieces and that's exciting. But there's also, you have to have patience for those things to grow up. So this is the year I've been waiting on since I got into reptiles, is to make these things. So I'm very excited. I'm gonna have to watch him because he'll try to like go check to see if anything's pipping or whatever. And I'm gonna have to make sure he doesn't leave me.
What is the number one thing you're hoping to make this year? Or I guess let me rephrase this. What's the number one thing you're hoping to make that you will tell us that you're hoping to make this year?
I really am hoping to make the hypo monsoon clown. That's something I have wanted since I first started with snakes and the monsoon. So I'm very, very excited about that. And I got other cool stuff. I've got chances to make some super mandarin stuff, starting to do some xanthic stuff. I've already seen it mentioned the cosmos pairing up liberties. I have a lot of genes. I don't have a lot of snakes, but like almost every snake is something interesting, or different, something to play with. So I have some cool stuff.
I'm the worst for this because ball python stuff ends up getting wasted on me because
I'm Googling a whole lot of stuff over here. I'm not even going to lie. But a lot of this stuff looks really cool.
Oh yeah.
The monsoons,
there's some cool stuff.
The monsoons look really neat. Like the pattern.
Is that the one with a really busy pattern?
Mm-hmm.
I think I do know what that looks like. I'm very limited in what I know about ball pythons because as much as I like to have Brittney on, I'm not a ball python person.
I have, I also, let's see, this was exciting. I had my first blood python lock a couple months ago, I guess about a month ago, and then they locked a second time this week. So if I remember correctly, because I sometimes still forget, like it's all written down, but my slackline female and she's possible het T positive to my T positive pollen male. So that will be exciting to see what I get from those. I'm looking forward to that.
How calm are your bloods?
They're not.
Oh God.
It varies, and I tell people that in some ways I'm okay. I almost prefer it because, like if ball pythons, they are not super aggressive eaters typically. Like you have the ones that are, but as a general, they're kind of chill, and then like something spooks them. They're like, never mind. I didn't want to eat that much for like the next month.
Yep.
Blood pythons for the most part are not like that. Like they are so reliable. And if you think about it logically, if you had a thick body like that, you would hit everything that came by you because you don't want to have to go chase anything, so I love the feeding instinct. Once we get them out of, the big bins and everything, for the most part, they're pretty chill. Like they don't love being handled, but they're pretty relaxed about it for me to take photos and that kind of thing. I will never be the person that puts them around my neck and carries one around at a show. I don't have that level of confidence, but the bloods are not so bad. I have I got into a new Borneo project that are F2 from Wild Caught, and they are the Mocha and the Sunset, which made the really cool opal lilac looking snake.
Yeah.
And those things bite for the fun of it. I mean, the most blood that has been spilled in our snake house was from the little, like he's this big. He's like a little tiny thing. And he hit Johnny and like hit him 5 times before Johnny could pull his wrist back. And he like laid in. Johnny was like dripping blood everywhere. And he's like, yeah, this was a great idea, honey.
Yeah, see, we've got friends that do bloods. And the one thing that always gets me is okay, the biting is one thing, but their bathroom habits, which are completely different than if you're used to like a ball python, right? When they pee, they pee. There's no like, oh, I can clean it up later.
No, it's so much. Yeah, they really make a mess. You know, though, I think hognose are pretty gross, to be honest.
I agree.
I mean, I adore my hognose. I love them. I have a lot of projects I'm super excited about with those, but they want to be in their mess, I think, because as soon as you clean it, they're like, let me travel the cage and wipe it everywhere again.
And they smell so bad.
Yeah.
I've said it on here before. I had one, and a friend gave me one, and I was like, oh, I like this. I can get into hognose. But like it would go to the bathroom, and I'd walk into my snake room, and it's not a big snake, and it would fill up the entire room with just like the smell of crap. I'm like, I've got an 8-foot boa that I don't know craps until I get to the boa. And this thing I can smell when I open the door.
Some of them were bad. We could, like, before we even got to the snake room, you could smell it.
They are my least favorite reptile to photograph. I love the end result because they look adorable. Like, even when they're angry, they look adorable. So they are an adorable model. They're tiny, so I have a lot of props and things I can play with. But as far as the enjoyment, I do not enjoy photographing them because they are either like defensive to where, and rarely do they die. And I'm going to say die like this, you know, because they're not really dead, in case anybody doesn't know hognose. But they either are like just, you know, trying to like mark and express, and the stench is terrible, or they are gone and they will not. Like most snakes, if you're gentle and calm, they'll try to go off, you know, the little table where I photograph. But if they don't get away with it, they'll eventually give up. You know, as long as you're slow and gentle, they typically relax and they'll stay where you put them. Hognose don't. They just, I mean, that is the one animal I've not been able to wait out. Like they just will not calm down. So I have tricks and stuff I use for them when I'm photographing them, but I just keep so much cleaner beside me because it's nasty. I had one I imported, and it's a new gene. It's called Swiss chocolate, and it's so cool, so beautiful, dark, like very dark snake. I was so excited to photograph her. I had all these setups planned because I had the leucistic. I could do this yin-yang thing, you know, and this will be great. And she would do, I've never seen a hognose do this, but she did it every single time. She would curl in the ball with her like little tail up over the back, right? And then spin her tail and just blow that stuff everywhere like a helicopter.
That is
and
disgusting.
It would be on the walls, the floor. I mean, and I'm like, you're like this, like curling a ball, she's like this big, but it would be like that much room. It'd be on my camera and my hands, and that stuff you can wash forever, but the scent doesn't go away for days. And I tried, I don't know how many times people are like, oh, are you going to photograph her? And I'm like, I am trying, but she would see me and I'd open her bin and she'd just start doing it. I'm like, nope, never mind. Terrible.
Jamie in the chat says, do hognoses really smell that bad? Look, I've had people that keep hognoses that like, they don't smell that bad. But as someone who has kept one also, it was the worst smelling snake I had.
It was the worst smelling animal in our house.
Yeah.
Easy.
It was bad.
Okay, so for mine, I cannot smell them. Because, you know, we keep up with the cleaning and everything. The time that I can smell them, like you walk in the snake room and it's like, is breeding. Because when they go to breed, they definitely mark everything a lot. Both of them do. And if you take it out, they do it again. It's I've noticed my boas do the same thing. I don't know if it's a security or a warning or what, but otherwise mine are not that bad unless they've gotten to the point where they're expressing stuff on my hands. To me, actually, it's king snakes. King snakes.
Oh, they are pretty bad too. Yeah.
king snakes, I can't. I had a pet one and I loved it, and I couldn't touch it when it would use it was in the house. It was one of the pet snakes, so it's in my bedroom. I couldn't even be in my bedroom like if it went to the bathroom. It was like I'd have to clean it out and then leave the room for like 8 hours to try to get it to air out. So for me, I still think like the king snake, milk snake scent is worse, but that's my personal.
My speckled king will musk me when I pick it up, and that's I can deal with the shit coming out of a king snake, but it's the musk, which is just so much different, and that smell just sticks around for a while.
Yeah. We're not convincing anybody to like
No.
Really
reptiles
not,
right now.
No. Darren Watson said he wanted to know what you thought about pied bloods.
Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I got to photograph at Nick's facility, Cold Blooded Earth, last January, so just a year ago. And he said, yeah, sure, come in. And I got to see so many amazing snakes, and one of them was his blood, and I got to photograph her. And incredible. I mean, ball python people don't hate me, please, but I don't like pied ball pythons. I am crazy about pattern. I love a dirty, gritty granite pattern. So to me, when you breed pied into it, you're taking away the very thing that I like. So I'm not a big fan of pied unless it's in very specific colors. I love the pied blood. That is an incredible animal, and the colors were just amazing.
So that surprises me that you say that about not liking the pied and you like the patterns, because then I think you're talking about doing clown, and clown, I feel like when you look at a ball python, really cleans up the pattern. You don't get that crazy pattern. Like it's drastically different from like a monsoon where it's all over the place.
Right. Yeah, it does. I mean, I think what I like about the clown is, and I tend to pick, just for the record, when I pick a clown and I have multiple siblings that a breeder's letting me look at, I'm picking the one that has the most marks on it versus the cleanest, because that's
Gotcha.
my preference. So for instance, I've seen it mentioned a couple of times. One of the breedings that I'm doing is a TSK exanthic male, clown male from JD, who's amazing. I just love John. And I'm breeding it to the Cosmos, which has that really crazy granity pattern as well. So he was helping me. I'm specifically like, listen, I don't want to lose. I want to try to keep as much of that craziness as I can. And so he was really great. But Cosmos looks good on clown. And Monsoon is proving to be a very stubborn gene to affect. So there have been I don't think a Monsoon clown's been hit. I'm trying to think right now. I'm so tired, I can't remember. But they did make a moray clown a couple years ago, which is a gene that was overseas that's proven to be the same. And they had just made one of those, and it changes the head pattern, and it kind of added some red tones. There's a few little differences, but it still kept that crazy granite look.
So I looked up Cosmos, and I can see where you'd like that. That pattern is, I can see where with certain things it would definitely cause a lot of pattern all over.
Yeah.
The Monsoon is really, I'm not much for the busy ball python patterns, but I do like the way the Monsoon one looks.
I don't know if you know about Desert Ghost or Enhancer.
You know about Desert Ghost.
Okay. Enhancer's the same thing, different line, whatever. But I like to tell people that don't know, I'm like, it's like when you crack a glow stick and it just brightens everything. That's essentially what a good Desert Ghost can do to an animal, right? It's just going to like brighten everything without touching the blacks on the animal. Like pastel, of course, affects more on the pattern, but this just really brightens it. So one of the breedings that I'm hoping to produce from would be a Monsoon Enhancer Desert Ghost. So I think the Monsoon with that being lit up like that super bright color would be amazing.
I can see that. So I'm gonna jump into the snakes I like. What boas do you have?
Okay, so don't judge me too harsh here, but when I did the boas, I did pick a lot because I just wanted that animal. I liked the way it looked. I mean, I made sure, I've talked to a lot of breeders that I'm not doing any breedings that are incompatible or anything like that. But I did do the pick what you think is pretty. So I imported a Labyrinth, motley female that's het teapot, VPI.
VPI.
Yeah. So I have her. I have an onyx male. I think super onyx male. I have my carbon. She's a carbon hypo. She's like 3 genes. I'm 1 gene away from having a snow. Like I'm almost there. So if I breed her to the right thing, I'll have the carbon version of that. Have some blood. I love the blood. I love reds. Those, really bright colors. So I think I only have 6 or 7 boas right now. Not too many, just a few. I wanted to, again, attention span. I like learning about other species. I like watching them and observing them and photographing them. So I didn't want to be big. I just wanted to have a few projects to play with. And then I have rainbow boas too.
I'm assuming Brazilians.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Brazilians.
Yeah.
I have a candy stripe. That's a beautiful male. And I have the caramel female that's getting actually big. There's been a lot of problems. There's been some lines that did not do well, but she's growing really well. I got her from James Bergman, and she's been great. She glows.
Yeah, I love Brazilian rainbows. That was my first snake, was a Brazilian rainbow.
It was my second. So my first snake, because I was terrified of snakes, truly like phobia, terrified of them. And Johnny kept taking me to the reptile store, and they had a milk snake there that kept getting out. And he had a big snake, like Honduran, and he was huge. And he was so calm, and he was big, and I didn't feel like he was going to get away from me. Like some of the little snakes are so wiggly and fast, and I was intimidated by that. And he would just sit in your hand. And I was like, okay, all right, this is my snake. So I bought him, loved him. And then my second snake was, I started, got the bit by the bug and had to do my research. And my second snake was a Brazilian rainbow boa, who was amazing.
See, you did a step there that I didn't do. You did the research step. I went to a reptile show with my parents, and I was like, that's pretty. And we bought it. And I always tell people, it's the worst first snake you could ever get. Don't buy a Brazilian rainbow boa. We somehow kept him alive for like 17 years. But God, those first like 5 years were rough on him. I don't know how he made it. But
I researched it, but to be honest, I don't know how much of it I truly grasped, because there's a lot of bad advice on the internet, oh, this is what you do to how to keep it alive. In the pet store, it was a specialty one, but it's still, they didn't know much. And I did know enough. They had 2, and he pulled out something to feed them, and the one ignored it and the other ate. And I was like, I want the one that will eat.
Yes.
And, but of course now I'm transporting a snake that just ate. I had no plan. This is terrible. And I should not tell you guys this, but I was so worried they would sell out, right? Because this was a very tiny store that got the most random stuff in. And I was a piano teacher, and I would go into the homes of these doctors and lawyers. I'm talking like multi-million-dollar homes, and teach their children piano. And the store closed right before my shift started, because I would teach when the kids got off from school, which meant I was starting at about 3:30 and would teach until 9:30 or so at night. So I went to the store, picked up my snake, and then had nowhere to put the snake, right? And I put it in my teaching bag and took it into all these houses with me. And I was like, they would die if they knew that I had a snake, because they were not the type to like snakes. But she did really, really well, despite me being a very new owner. And Johnny was like, sure, get another one. He goes, but this one is not my responsibility. I'm not going to feed this one. You have to do it. I'm like, I will. So I got it, and he never fed it. Took care of her every time. And then I got pregnant, and I was like 7 months pregnant and so sick, and I could barely get off the couch. And he goes, don't worry, honey, I'll feed her today for you. And so he went in there and fed her and didn't clip the lid back on. And then I never saw her again. And I was like, yeah, so I don't let him live it down.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is
I
rough.
was devastated. Yeah. She was a good one.
Yeah, ours it went through a lot, but I said he died a couple years ago now. But he was 17. I still have I have a female she's pushing 19 now.
Wow.
She's big. I mean, she's over 6 foot and thick. And then I had a weird thing, and I've talked about it on here before with some folks, but I have several babies left from their last litter, and they all like got sick at the same. I say sick. They all looked like they went and shed at the same time, but they didn't have to shed. And since then, their skin has never come back. They just look rough, and they're slowly starting to shed now and clear up, but no one can figure out what it was. It just all happened just to the rainbow boa babies, nothing else in the snake room. They all kept eating. They were all fine. They just looked horrible. And of course, I'm like trying to keep some back because my first snake was their dad, and he passed away, and then they were born. I was like, ooh, I got to keep these because I don't have my male anymore. And I'm like, Jesus, now I may lose all of them. And so now I'm just like, please make it through this and pretty up and look better and don't die on me.
There's jokes, like with birds, you say that like turkeys want to die. Like they will go out in the rain and then look up and just drown themselves. It's like they just have a death wish. Just like possums. Like possums are constantly like running out in front of cars. Johnny says that's because their girlfriend looks like them and is ugly at home and they don't want to go home. I don't know if that's the case or not, but so I kind of think Brazilian rainbows boas might be like that. Like they're kind of like, just not feeling life right now. They can be very rewarding, but very frustrating.
Well, they're such a tricky one. Like so there's certain snakes you think about, like if someone got into snakes, a lot of people in the last decade and a half got into snakes through ball pythons, right? And they got ball pythons. And the great thing about ball pythons now, since, the mid 2000s to now, is they're pretty much bulletproof. You can get a ball python and they can live through a lot of crappy care and survive, and then very basic care. And so when someone gets that ball python and they're like, I want to get another snake, there's so many other snakes that don't match up with the care of a ball python. And like rainbow boas are definitely on that list of, if you kept a ball python, this is not going to be kept the same way. It will not work. It will die.
Yeah, for sure. Like in ours, we have a facility for our reptiles. We built this building to put them in. I mean, it's still on our property, but that way we could keep it at a higher temperature, higher humidity, all that other stuff. But the temperatures are not there for my ball pythons, are not what would make my, Brazilians the happiest.
Yeah.
So they're actually in my dining room because I can better keep up, really, make sure to keep their humidity where they want it, and that constant monitoring, during the day where you're doing like little things. The ball pythons, once you've got your setup right, I mean, you're checking, you're cleaning, you're feeding, but you're not tweaking their care very much.
Well, it can be so tricky for someone who goes to a show and sees all the snakes at a show, either kept in a deli cup on a piece of paper or in a display on a piece of paper. And every single snake is like that at the show, but they don't all get, like, you can't keep them all the same. Like they look the same at the show. They look like you can keep them the same at the show. And then you get them home. Something like an emerald tree boa is not going to be the same thing. Or, or like certain colubrids, which are going to need to eat much more, which is why they poop so much, because they're going to eat much more than your ball python will. So that's what we talk about. Like as vendors and breeders, it's very important to talk people through the process, because yes, someone may come up and go, I want that, but that can't be the end of your conversation when selling something. Like it can't be like, oh, okay, and then pack it up and sell it to them.
No, for sure not. I mean, even people are still confused over, hey, is this going to lay on the ground, or is this supposed to be up in a tree? And it's like, okay, that's kind of basic. That's like 101 right there. You're kind of, before you bring the animal home, you can't even plan an enclosure if you don't know. I mean, a ball python is can it live in a tall enclosure? Yeah. Is it going to feel super secure? No, it doesn't want to have all that space around it.
No, you're gonna wonder, why is my ball python sit in the corner all the time? Because that's where it wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's really happy there. I've had a few people, because I've worked with mammals, who are like, well, what about enrichment? Don't they do something for fun? And I'm like, okay, so you have to understand that they're not the same. They have very basic needs, and they are very content when they don't have to look for food. You're not constantly bugging them and, prodding them. And they have the perfect temperature that they want to be. I mean, mine are very happy with that. They do well, they shed well, but yeah, that's different. There are snakes. I have Barron's racers, and those things are nosy as all get out. I mean, they want to watch you. I mean, my boy, they have that long nose.
Yeah.
My male is in my bedroom, and he will push his nose up like a little pig against the glass and just watch everything that I do. And he has places he could go to not watch me, but he chooses, and he's all over that tank all day because they're active. They enjoy that, looking at things, and, or at least he seems like he does. I don't know. Enjoy is not the right word. Sorry. Please don't come for me, but it's the behavior.
Yeah. They are I say curious, but they travel. I mean, in the wild, they cover a lot of area, way more than what a ball python's going to cover.
Exactly. Yeah.
I keep a lot of samboas, and I'm like, racks are perfect for samboas. These things don't want to go wander around, and it always kills me. And I'm not saying don't keep your snakes in a larger enclosure. If you can, have at it. And yes, it may climb up into a branch, but that doesn't mean it's an arboreal snake, and that doesn't mean that it needs that branch. I mean, I may wander into the produce section of a grocery store, but I'm not eating salads. I just happen to end up there. That's not my thing. So just because it ends up there doesn't mean that's the place it wanted to be.
Or that it's safe.
Yeah.
If you're not built to be an arboreal snake and you go up a tree, you might fall out. And depending on how tall your enclosure is and what's on the bottom, I mean, a snake in theory could injure itself. Hognoses are not meant to be climbing things.
Well, it's samboas. Samboas can fall off the floor. If it was possible, they'd fall right off the floor. And so I'm looking at a picture now that was posted on our discussion group, and a friend also sent it to me, but it's of a samboa eating a bird. And there's so many questions there. Did it climb up the tree and get the bird? It definitely has the ability, and it could have. Did it find the bird dead on the ground and then it's eating a dead bird? Did it catch a bird when it came down to the ground? There's so many things there, but that little snapshot of it eating a bird doesn't tell me, oh, samboas are arboreal. Like, no, they're not. They have no tail. They have zero tail to hold on to anything. They're a fat, short sausage. They're not made to climb trees. They can, but that doesn't mean they're made to do it.
I always, when people say stuff like that to me, there's a video online of a horse eating a chick. So the mom hen is running around with her, like chicken is running around with her babies. And this horse is just, eating some hay, and it looks over and it just eats this, this baby chick. You know what I'm talking about? It's horrifying and hilarious. Yeah. Like, you watch it on replay over and over. But that doesn't mean that horses are like, yum, there's chicken, we're surprised, or that they're like stalking chickens through the yard. They really don't care. Did that chick happen to be there? And the horse thought, what does that taste like? Yeah, but it's not out. That's not its diet. It's not out hunting it. It's not going to hurt it that time, but it's not like, oh, now we need to consider if chicken should be added to a horse's diet, because
that's this like one of my favorite memes is a picture of a cow in Australia eating a snake. And the thing says, I'm so confused about the food chain in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aren't we all?
So
throws everything I've learned out the window.
But that's another thing is a lot of what happens with people's how you should keep an animal comes from snapshots and not a broad view of what's actually happening. Like we've talked about here with Dave Kaufman's video about the ball pythons, right? He went there, he talked to people whose livelihood is to find them, and they told him, yes, in this part of Africa, when it floods, they go in trees. Well, that makes sense because the holes are flooded, but that doesn't make them arboreal. Like, yes, they can. It's a snake. Snakes can climb trees, but it doesn't make them an arboreal snake. You can't take that snapshot and go, oh yeah, I know that we find them in the ground all the time, but they're definitely arboreal snakes.
No, and just because they do it to survive, or they do it once for whatever reason, we don't know, doesn't mean that's their preference. At that moment, that's what they chose to do, but that doesn't mean that that's the best for them either, and I think that's an important thing to remember. And I think that comes in as keepers, that we have to know our individual animals. This isn't working with reptiles. Yes, we say reptile businesses, and it is. We have to keep up with numbers and taxes and all that other stuff, and we have to think of it like profits and losses. And there is some of that does have to come into it if you're trying to work seriously in the industry. But these are living creatures, and so we have a standard, with ball pythons. We know what's a good, how they're happy, their temperatures, their humidity. We have an idea of how they're happy. But that doesn't mean that individual animal, like, you wouldn't change things for that individual. So I have some of my ball pythons that, if a breeder looked, they'd be like, wow, couldn't you give that one a bigger bin? You have empty bins. Well, I could, but it doesn't like the bigger bins. When it goes in the bigger bins, like it goes off food. It's just not happy with that. It likes that tighter space of the slightly smaller bin. But then I have other ones that, seem to cruise around the much larger bin for them, and it doesn't affect them in any way. So I think we have to also keep in mind that, and I don't think either one is, worse if you give them a bigger bin or a smaller one, but you do need to watch that individual animal and see what it prefers. You may put a hide in there that snake, for whatever reason, can't stand, but 50 other snakes in your collection love that hide. That doesn't mean you should just keep forcing that, or like, oh, well, either use it or don't. You can find something else for it, and I think that we do have to keep that in mind, that there can be different, I don't want to say preferences, because I don't think it's really that. Maybe it is preferences. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
I could see a preference.
Yeah.
It's not, the problem is so many people anthropomorphize animals in general, but definitely reptiles. I'm like, reptiles aren't people. They don't have the same thought process. What does it like this over that? Yes, it might like this place over that place, but it's not thinking of it in terms of the reasons you would like this over that. It doesn't have the same human thought process. So you can't be like, it always gets me like,
exactly.
Well, like my snake loves to watch TV with me. No, it doesn't. That's not how that works. That snake has no idea what a TV is. No clue. Or my snake loves this. You don't know that. Stop pretending it's a person. Or my snake feels, or I'm like, I love the fact that the person loves their animal. That's great.
I think I've heard him on this rant so many times that I could probably give his soapbox speech for him.
It drives me nuts when people start acting like they're people. And I'm like, they're not people. They're reptiles. Treat them like, and it doesn't downplay the intelligence of a reptile or what a reptile needs. They just don't think the same way.
That's what I want. I want the brain of a mamba, because you can't tell me that thing is not like the world's best problem solver.
But it's not.
Really?
It's a good problem solver, but it doesn't compare to the brain of a primate.
Oh, so as far as a reptile goes, it's got that.
Everything's relative.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think reptiles are incredible at surviving.
Whoa.
Guys. Sorry, like this photo just fell over. They are really good at surviving. They've proven that. And I mean, we've talked about some of the more delicate species, but a lot of them are incredible at surviving, massively changing environments and situations and diets. And I mean, being able to go off food and not die for long periods of time. I mean, they've got incredible skills. And I do think that we can appreciate, I have snakes that obviously young ones hatch. They are going to, some are, they strike you more. Well, come on, they're tiny. They don't have a lot of defenses. Of course they're going to. And over time, they chill out because they realize, wait a minute, this person is not going to do anything. So there's a level of, I'm going to use the word trust. Okay, I'm not saying that they love, I don't believe that they love you, that they have any emotional attachment, but they recognize you and recognize that, hey, this person is going to bring me food or whatever. Like in our case, there was a period of time.
Well, so there's no reason for them to waste energy on something that's not a threat. That's why, like, if you put a scarecrow up, it'll work great for a little while, but if you don't change anything, eventually the crows will come land on it and still eat the corn, because they're not going to waste time and energy on something that's not going to hurt them. They're not going to worry about that. And the snake's the same thing.
Yeah. With ours, there was a period of time where my health was not doing so great. And I had like 3 or 4 weeks, I was having trouble even moving around. And Johnny was doing all the feeding. But when I was able to move around a little bit, I would go over there and clean the bins. And the snakes started recognizing that my scent meant that they were going to get moved and that I was going to be spilling water and doing all this, which was annoying, right? Because like they didn't particularly enjoy that experience. But that Johnny meant food. So when I couldn't be over there when he fed, because every time he fed, our feed rate would go down. Because if they smelled me in the room, they would immediately go to the back and curl in a ball to be like, don't touch me.
There's a stress level.
Do it. Whereas, right. Yeah. Or they recognized like they weren't like striking at me or afraid, but it was like they recognized that scent probably meant they weren't getting fed. It was just annoying. So why bother? Whereas when he would go in there by himself, he'd open the bins and most would be up at the front because they had, it's a learned behavior. And I think of an interesting example is, my husband's a falconer. And so when he was first explaining to me how he works with these birds, he's like, yeah, you catch a wild one. And I'm like, well, that goes against like the whole parrot thing.
It's a weird process, isn't it?
Baby. Yeah. I'm like, so like a chick. And he's like, no, like an adult bird. And I'm like, and you tame it. He's like, really fast. You're talking like weeks. And I'm thinking, like, in what world is there any animal you can go yank one out of the wild and be like, hey, let's be friends? And they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But that's literally
the
what
whole
they
thing
do.
is crazy.
Yeah, it's really, and so we're talking about it, and I'm like, well, then why don't they leave you? And he goes, because they recognize I'm an easy source of food. If they follow me while I walk through the woods, they'll fly over, and they know I'm going to kick up a squirrel, making it easier for them to spot the food. They'll come down and get it. And I'm like, well, then why do they come back to your glove? And he goes, because I have meat that's already, like it's blood. So they leave the thing they need to pluck and kill to hop on this easy to eat piece of meat. And then they're fat and satisfied and they don't really care. So you take them home. And so I was laughing about it. And I said, so wait a minute, basically they're using you. They recognize that you are they can get easy food off of you. You're a terrible hunter and they can take everything from you. So
and you're not a threat. You're not going to hurt them.
Fed? Yeah. The person brings me food and the person kicks up squirrels and the person's not so bad. They don't, and I asked him, I'm like, do they like to be pet? He's like, no. He says, but occasionally he would walk by them and they would puff up their feathers because it felt good to be scratched. Not that they wanted to cuddle. They're not up on your shoulder. They don't have a relationship like that, but this is not a cockatoo. Enough. No, it's not a pet cockatoo. And to me, you take a snake and you lay down on the couch with it and you snuggle it to watch TV. It's going to be like, oh, this is nice and warm. I'm going to go in your shirt and put my head right here so I can watch what's going on. They're not enjoying snuggling you. They're using you for heat right now.
It's funny that you say that because that's exactly. So I'm in charge of zoology club at our school and we have a corn snake. And one of the kids asked, we're like, well, does she like when you hold her? I said, she tolerates me because she knows that I'm not a threat. She knows I'm not here to hurt her.
You're not food.
I said, she knows that she knows there's no food around. I said, she's not in shed mode. So I don't have to worry about her not being able to see me or her body being overly sensitive. And they're like, well, she just wraps around your arms and sits there. I said, yeah, feel my arm. Feel how warm my body is. She's using me for a heat source. And when she gets done and she's tired of it, then she's going to let me know, okay, I'm done. You need to put me down. And, that's how we know. But, oh, yeah, I'm like, she doesn't care if I hold her or.
Could you imagine, though, if the rules of falconry were the same rules for keeping any other exotic animal?
Oh, geez.
Like people that want to keep tigers. All right, here's the only way you can keep a tiger. You got to go in the wild and you got to convince the tiger to like you. And then it'll come home with you. And that's the tiger you get to own. Like that. Just do that. That's the that will weed out a lot of people owning certain animals. But could you just think about like with reptiles? All right. The only way you're going to be able to get a boa constrictor is you've got to go down to Colombia, wander into the jungle and convince this boa to come home with you.
We'd all be screwed.
So when my husband was in vet school, they couldn't do this in vet school now. Too many, rules and everything. But when he was in vet school, they had a huge iguana that was just so mean, a male iguana, massive, and it hated the world. And it had been basically just abandoned there because nobody knew what to do with it. And it had lost part of its tail at some point and formed this hard ball on it. And so as more of a joke or a test, whenever they got to the exotic rotation in their classes, the professors would say, all right, now you have to go and give the iguana a bath because he had like his own room and everything. And they would be like, you can't even be an exotic vet if you can't bathe that iguana. And it's like huge and angry. And it would swing that and just leave huge bruises all over their bodies because it would nail them with the end of that tail. And I'm like, they couldn't even make it be friends. But I think I don't want to make people that, that love their pets. I don't want to be depressing about, hey, just so you know, it doesn't love you. In believing that animal, like a snake, loves you, I think that we lose a little bit of the beauty, just like with the hawk. It doesn't love Johnny. They don't love the falconers. However, you have to say there is an interesting thing and a really neat thing to build a type of bond that does have that level of trust with a wild animal or an animal that, really has no need for you. Dogs want our companionship, not snakes don't necessarily. So to build that level where they're like, you know what, I don't really love being handled, but I'm okay with it because it's you. I'm not going to strike because we're cool. It's not, I think that there can be something really cool about that too. That's getting an animal to tolerate you or accept you to that. I think that's really neat.
Well, to know that they feel
absolutely.
that they feel that safe around you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I still just
because basically they have these instincts that are constantly telling them how to survive. But you have earned a place to where their instincts are like, that one's not a problem. It's kind of dumb, but it drops food in, so just ignore it,
You helped override millions of years of evolution, so now they trust this giant ape and go, no, this giant ape is actually not that bad.
It's funny. We have a leopard gecko in our classroom. Again, we have like so much stuff. It's ridiculous. But she is phenomenal with a handful of students. But then I have some others that are a little more high strung, and she is nowhere near as calm when they're even at the back table when she's out. And one of the girls noticed that. She made the comment. She was like, Velma's really relaxed when so-and-so is not at our table. And I didn't say a word. I was just going to let them have their conversation. And one of the other kids goes, well, he moves a lot. We all just sit here. And I was like the whole time I'm like, yes, you guys are getting it. Like, you have to be the calm environment for them to feel comfortable. But that's pretty much it. I think with all the animals even like you said, with birds, she's not your typical emu, and it's because of the way that she was raised.
Yeah. I think it's neat. I think we can get so much satisfaction. And for the pet owners that find out that their snake doesn't actually love them, there should still be a sense of pride if they have that type of relationship, where this animal isn't musking on you. And, just being a butthole. It's not that we're like trying to diminish that or take that away. There can be like that level, like you said, you're overriding all of this.
Yeah,
I think that's really rewarding.
Take the time to understand the natural history of that animal and understand that in the wild, something like you wandering up would definitely be perceived as a threat, and you have somehow overcome the threat response from that animal, which is pretty impressive.
Definitely a big deal for sure.
So I was going to go through a couple of things that were on our Facebook group.
Okay.
That people posted over the last 2 weeks now. Oh, I did. I don't know how people saw. So we did have a freeze come through. There was that like 2 nights or 3 nights where like it froze through Texas. We had no ice this time. We were great. No ice. But I didn't have anything for all the things to cover. The outside faucets were sold out and I couldn't find anything. So I took a Reptiles to Use shipping box with the styrofoam inserts on the inside. And then I took some extra insulation from my rodent order, wrapped it around that, put the box over, and then zip tied it to the faucet so it was nice and insulated. So,
have you checked them in the last couple of days with all the rain we've had come through?
They're still on there. I looked down. Yeah, they're holding up pretty well. So I used a Reptile shipping box.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It froze, and now we were sweating today. Nathan posted a video of blacktip reef sharks attacking a stingray, which was crazy. It was a stingray swimming like in the shell, like right up near the shore, and they launched up into the sand. And these 3 blacktip reef sharks just went to town, which I thought was neat.
Wow.
This was a cool article. Just the title. I haven't read the article, but the title alone. Transparent glass frogs vanish at night by hiding their red blood cells in their liver.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
Did Travis post that?
No, that was Nathan.
That was my second guess because they always post the most random, really cool articles.
So they're able to store them in there overnight and then put them. That's again, we go back to the weird.
So
evolution.
by disappearing, what would it be? Would it be like the heat? How would it make them disappear?
Well, they're glass frogs, so they get underneath the leaf and
right.
see through them. and so you no longer have the
Because their
blood.
liver-
You don't have the
yeah.
veins or anything, so they blend in with
Oh,
the leaf.
okay.
'Cause-
So they're going super transparent.
yes,
They are, yeah.
yes, they're getting rid of anything that would make them stick out more against that leaf background.
Cool.
Which is again, we talked about the weird evolution of certain things, and that reptiles are great at surviving. Marine iguanas, I think one of the weirdest things is marine iguanas can actually shrink in years when the food is very hard to come by. When there's less food, they have found that marine iguanas in the Galapagos Islands not just lose body fat, but their bones actually shrink. Their full body will shrink down so they don't need as much food to survive.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That
was
is
really cool.
crazy.
Why can't we do that?
Just shrink down.
My biggest,
Down.
as far as marine go, one of my biggest shocks was when I found out that moose are actually on a killer whale, the orca's actual like diet, like part of their diet.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah. Turns out that moose like to eat like the seaweed. And apparently they can go down 30 feet or something insane like that.
Wow.
And the orcas eat them. And I was like, somebody is pulling my leg. That is not real. And I looked it up and it was real. And I'm like, could you imagine like you're swimming and there's a moose? Like they tell us to watch out on land, but I've never been told like, hey, be careful. There might be a moose in the water down 30 feet, like when you're scuba diving. That's weird.
Crazy. Well, at that point though, are you scuba diving in water that cold?
Yeah, you can.
Oh yeah. You can scuba dive in Antarctica.
You put on a dry suit.
Jeez Louise.
One thing that's interesting about orcas is there was those two brother orcas that went around killing great whites just eat just the liver. Like the evolution of an orca to learn that just the liver is the good part to eat, and like not the rest of the bodies can go. Like they had to find, like, you just wonder the process of learning that, like how much of a shark did they eat before they went, oh wait a minute, the rest of that tastes like shit. This thing's amazing. Let's just kill them for this thing, and then let them wash up on shore.
Yes, and then to override, because to take out a great white, I mean, they're expending energy. So you would think natural instinct would be saying, hey, you need to eat your fill so that you're not having to go after. Now, we do know orcas tend to play with their food more, but still, to me, like to only take that is still a very strange thing.
Well, especially because when you think in nature about a lot of animals, when they so we're reptile people, right? When a snake comes across food, even those giant meals, you'll see like big pythons eating huge meals that are ridiculous because they don't know when they eat again. So they'll eat everything they can eat. This orca's like, no, I'm just going to take just liver. Like it could definitely eat the rest of this shark, but to just take the liver and know that, no, I'll find food somewhere else. Like it's it's crazy to me. That's like, I posted a video over in our group of a beluga whale in an aquarium. Its toy had gotten washed up like about 6 feet away from the edge of the pool. And then there was a wall. And what it was doing is it's a little float, a little ball. It would take water, shoot it against the wall, and the pressure of the water would bring the toy back towards the edge. And it kept shooting the water up there until it got close enough to the edge that it could grab the toy and swim off with it.
That's crazy.
I teach high school kids that couldn't have problem solved that. Like they don't
it's like
have
the octopus. The octopus is my favorite because it like shoots out lights, because it's like that they changed it, put bright bulbs in, and it didn't like it. So it got to the top of his aquarium and squirted until it like shorted out the light bulb.
Yeah.
And then they changed its diet and gave it a fish it didn't like. So it got out and threw the fish at the keeper. I mean, like octopi are like the best, man.
Oh yeah.
I think it was the National Zoo that had it when they first got their giant Pacific octopus. They kept coming in and finding fish missing in tanks. There were no fish. Like this fish had died. It was gone. They couldn't figure out what the hell happened. And then they finally realized the octopus, there was an area just enough on its tank that it could climb out of its tank, go across the room, climb into the fish tank, eat the fish, get out and climb back and be in its tank in the morning. So that they're like, well, how are we losing this fish? And he was just getting out and go pick up food, like run to the grocery store and go grab a fish from across the room.
Could you imagine as a keeper, how frustrating that would be to like your fish, you don't know where they go. You know how much time and energy you would be spending on that. And then again, it's really cool because apparently they set that tank up really well that the octopus wanted to go back to its tank. It could have stayed, but it wanted its tank multiple times, not just once. It specifically was going shopping. It was going to get fast food. I mean,
Well, that's why I say I don't always want to downplay the intelligence of animals, but just know that they're not always people. So like when they problem solve something or they do something, they're not doing it for the exact same reason you are. They're not having the exact same feelings. Now, I did watch a video earlier today, and it was kind of cute. And it was a mother bonobo on her back holding a baby, and the grandmother bonobo was like grabbing the feet and like biting the feet, and the baby's like laughing. And you can see like it looks very much like when you would picture humans playing with a baby and grabbing its feet, and the baby's laughing and everything. And you think that's not far-fetched to believe that she's actually doing that, because that's our closest living relative on Earth right now, the bonobo. And I'm like, that's a family unit. That's a group where that could actually happen. Now, I don't foresee mother frog going over and doing that with the baby frog with little tadpoles. She's going to go eat those tadpoles. She's just going to gobble them up. But I thought it was very interesting.
They did do a study that said that they've proven that an octopus will punch fish for fun.
I did see that. I saw that one. So
and
they're just dicks, the dick of the ocean.
Yeah, so when people start asking me what my spirit animal is, I'm gonna be like an octopus.
They're just gonna punch people for fun.
Yeah, it just sounds great.
This is a sad part. The Zirkle Reptile Company, the Zirkles, who breed tons of really amazing reptiles and some really off the wall stuff. I actually have a pair of rubber boas from them. They had a horrible thing that happened when they were out Christmas shopping. They came back, a water pipe had burst and sprayed into their breeder mandarin racks. And the rack is it's toast, probably going to lose about 12 to 13 breeder mandarin rats. And they got shocked trying to fish them out of the water also. So they're guessing no mandarins for several years. So just everyone just be very vigilant, especially this time of the year when we had the freeze coming. It's be very vigilant with what's going on. Things that normally work well may not work well in certain situations.
Yeah.
And that was a sad one to see, just because, like I said, I have snakes from them. It's an awesome snake. Let's try to see what else got posted. Oh, so there's I won't read it, but go over there, there's a post that Nathan posted about someone selling baby rats as pets. I'm going to read it because it's my show and I can do that. The person posts, my rat had 20 babies. Who wants one? I'm thinking of $8 each. And the person responds, I'll take all for $100. Deal? ? They said, deal. Do you have pets already? I said, yeah, I got 2 birds. I said, okay, you can pick them up anytime. I'll send you my address. And then they messaged him back and said, hey, you forgot the rat food. He said, oh, I was auto-corrected by my phone. I don't have 2 birds. I have 2 boas. And then the person says, what the fuck? You'll bring 20 rats back now. She goes, 18 rats. I'm like, that's hilarious.
I did read that. I thought that one was kind of funny.
Oh,
that's so bad.
You're like 18. Our buddy Max Hicks snuck a bearded dragon into Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
I saw that.
I shared that video over on the thing. He took it into this like event, like a big event inside the stadium, and then took pictures with it inside the stadium, which I thought was very interesting.
I bet the bearded dragon loved that. It's telling everybody
it
all about it. No, I'm just messing.
What was funny was everyone else seemed to really think it was cool, and then he wanted to get a picture in the video. You can see he wanted to get a picture with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and they agreed to come out and take a picture. And when we got out there, then he took the bearded dragon out, and their bodyguard was like, "Nope, we're not doing this. We got to go." It's like, that's
really?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
The bearded dragon scared them off.
Scared the bodyguard. That's what it was. The girls probably didn't give 2 shits about the lizard, but the bodyguard was probably freaking out and was like, nope, can't do this.
This is what I wanted to read. Our friend Alexander England, we've had him on the show before, but he posted something for 2023 pro tips and buyer etiquette. And so as someone who sells snakes, you'll enjoy some of these. 1, don't text a seller and ask for pics and info if you're not ready with money in hand to buy. If you're going to text them to buy it, have the money. 2, do your research first. Google is helpful. You should know husbandry info on said species. If you're at the point of looking to buy, you should know the price range by this point too. That's easy to find, especially Morph Market now. It's so easy to figure out how much something should cost. 3, don't ghost folks. Be an adult and say, that's not quite what I'm after. Or I'm a broke bitch and just wasted your time. Say something. Don't just vanish. That's how you forever get ignored. 4, don't be a repeat tire offender. Like kicking tires. Don't do that over and over again. 5, if you are just texting to inquire price of an animal, say so. Then we can respond at our leisure instead of feeling like you have to get back right then to make the sale. And 6, don't be obnoxious. That's just a normal thing for everybody. Don't be obnoxious.
Oh, absolutely.
But those are good ones. Definitely, if you're going to, if it's fine. I think it's fine to ask for a price, especially on Facebook where people can't post prices. If you see something there that is possibly for sale and you message them for a price, it's fine. But you can always say, sorry, it's out of my price range, or sorry, I'm not interested now, or whatever. But getting ghosted does suck. I had someone who was interested in one and a snake, and I was like, oh, cool. My wife's going that way on this week, and I can send it with her. And then they just disappeared. Like, well,
yeah,
shit.
that kind of sucked.
So.
Yeah, and I think too, like I do a lot of payment plans. I have a lot of snakes where, I work out a plan for people. But I've also had a lot of people who have sent me like these like long things that want me to answer and this. And then like you said, it's like husbandry and pictures and, oh, but could you take the picture from this angle? And then they're like, okay, so how long of a payment plan can you do? I think I need 6 months and it's a $200 animal. And it's like, I don't mind doing a payment plan, not 6 months on a $200 animal though. So it'd be nice, like, if you're a buyer and you're looking and you don't have all the money, you can still contact and say, listen, I would have to get the animal on a payment plan. Is that something that you offer? And start with that to see if you can work something out. And then say, okay, well, before we do it, I do have a couple questions, and ask your things or ask for your picture. But make sure you've like, if you're going to need special buying arrangements, go ahead and make sure that you've worked that out first before you use too much of either of your time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, yeah. And if you need a 6-month payment plan on a $200 animal, you probably don't need the $200 animal. So
yeah,
there's some common sense there. Sometimes what you need and what you want need to be compared. You don't always need the things you want.
I feel attacked, and I'm just going to throw that out there.
Wow, for what?
For this whole conversation of needs versus wants.
Now, I will say that I had a lady message me, and I love this. I never forgot it. So she messaged and wanted to know if she could start sending me payments for a very expensive animal. For her, it was, I think it was like a $2,500 animal. So that is, a relatively expensive. I work with animals that are lower and higher than that. And so she messages and she's like, I want to start paying payments. And I'm like, okay, but for which animal? And she's like, no, I want, and she tells me what she wants, whatever the gene was. And I said, but I have that available right now. Like I don't mind. And she goes, no, I want to pay you before I pick my animal. Because she goes, and it's fine. I know it'll probably take me like into next year, your next season of babies. And she said, but I am not good with saving money. I struggle with that. And she said, so I have to put the money in special savings accounts. And she said, so I'm asking basically, can I start a fund with you and put this money? And when I
turned you into a piggy bank.
I love that.
Yeah. But she was so sincere. And she was like, this is something I struggle with, but she'd done her research and she really wanted this. And that feeling, like I've been there where it's like you put something on layaway, and there's an excitement. There can be a fun to that too. It's nice to get the animal in your hand, but there can be like working for it and knowing that those pennies are adding up. So, I agreed. It was an incredible deal. Wonderful buyer, took amazing care of the animal, but she was consistent and she'd send me like $30 like every other week because that's what she had dedicated off her paycheck, and she'd send it as soon so that she didn't spend it until she saved up, whatever it was for this animal. And I thought that was cool,
Yeah.
Now you can just use Affirm or PayPal Pay in 4 or there's like all these different options online now that that's what's gotten us into trouble not in trouble, but
that's why we bought certain things.
That's why we've been able to buy certain Lego sets because the used Lego from the local store, you can pay through PayPal, and PayPal has a pay in 4 option. So basically it pays your whole bill for you. And then it just withdraws every 2 weeks. It withdraws a quarter of that payment. And That's how you've gotten a handful of your
That's how I got this
retired
laptop.
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
How I got tires on my
works.
truck. It works.
yeah.
But
And I would like to say, don't like if you were listening and you're like, I would like to do that with a breeder. Make sure the breeder is a smart breeder and a very trustworthy breeder, because that would have been a way if she had changed her mind. To be honest, I would have just she didn't waste my time. She wasn't a high maintenance. I would have absolutely sent every penny back.
But you easily could have disappeared with her money too, depending on who you are.
I could have.
Oh,
I could
yeah.
have,
Or
because
sold
she
the
went
snake that she paid for, and
she would have went past that time where she could have, tried to get payments back. So I do want to clarify, you can talk to your breeder and see if things will work out, but make sure they're really trustworthy before you just start throwing money at them.
absolutely.
All right, we have hit the 2-hour mark. It is time to wrap up. I need to go walk.
I'm tired.
I'm going to go walk. I said I was going to. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
You got this.
Brittney, if people want to get a hold of you, see what you have, talk to you, what's the best way? Before you hide in your shell.
Before I go back to my shell. Instagram, Gobbles Reptiles. Facebook is Gobbles Reptiles, or Brittney Gobble on Facebook is fine too. I'll pretty much answer any of those places. You can type in leglasslodge.com and that'll take you to my morph market. Or you can type in imasnake.com. It'll also take you to my morph market.
Jesus Christ.
I know, it's terrible, but it made me laugh and it was available, so I bought it.
And
There you go.
coming soon is Gobble's Emu Ranch. So if you want to get an emu,
Yeah.
I still think you
To
missed
be
the
announced.
opportunity. You need to breed turkeys just so you can be Gobble's Gobblers.
We have turkeys. My daughter breeds turkeys.
I'll see
and,
Gobble's Gobblers right there.
So I don't know. Have you heard the joke where like people will go into like, Costco or whatever, or Walmart, and the guy will make like a monkey call and the other men answer back? Have you seen that?
I have not seen that
Okay.
one.
Okay, there's a thing where like guys can go into some of these places and start like, ooh, and then from the other side of the store, you'll hear another guy respond. And there's been like all these videos of it and stuff. Well, I can do that with my kids. So if I go, then all my kids, like you can just like in my house, if we do that, you just wait and you start hearing it. Johnny, everybody will do a turkey call back. It's the quickest way to take roll call in the house. And when we were in Puerto Rico, I told, we were with Kenny Aponte, he's a reptile keeper. And I told him that. And so we were hiking in the rainforest and all of a sudden I hear, and so of course I'm obligated to now answer. But yeah, it's a weird place here.
So with our kid, we would tell her to make a peep, and like she would go peep and she would like respond. That was when we were playing hide and seek when she was little, and I would get bored and didn't want to actually find her. So we would cheat that way. And then we do Marco Polo in the grocery store.
Yeah. I just imagine family in the grocery store hears them start calling each other and the kid goes, "What's that?" And the mom goes, "Just come this way. Don't go near it."
I've got that a few times for various reasons, but yes, it's funny. It's funny because you can just at any time I can pick my phone up and record, and they can be half asleep or whatever, but you will hear from all over the house responses.
That's so fabulous. I love that.
That's pretty good. All right. If Robert wasn't here, if you want to get a hold of Robert,
LSReptileRacks.com.
Check out Los Reptile Racks on Facebook. If you want to get a hold of us, we are the Reptile Gumbo Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. We'll get with Brittney about our giveaway for a new calendar for this month.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Kind of sad. I'm gonna have to order one so I can replace my ball python calendar.
Well, your birthday's coming up. Maybe you'll get one.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think Robert bought me this one for birthday.
Your birthday last year.
So, but thank y'all for listening. Thank you, Brittney, for being here. Hang out for a second as we log off. Everyone, we will be back next week with someone. Haven't figured it out yet, but we'll be back
Thank
next
you
week.
everyone for hanging out.
Yes. Good night.